Hello, my friends. This is the Meta 1-month overview reading for the month of April 2025. It's currently March 25th, 2025, 8:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Meta at the time of this reading, $626.31. That's USD. And the shuffle video for the Meta reading for April was created on March 8th, 2025 at 9:13 p.m. Eastern Time. So what we'll cover in this video is the overall trend direction and chart behavior for the month of April. We're going to give you information about the chart behavior around the month's highest high and the month's lowest low. We're going to go and take a look at March, which is basically, we're in the last week of March, so we'll review how March has gone in the March prediction thus far, cross-reference it against the actual live chart and see how we did to give you a good idea of our accuracy. We'll come back, we'll give you the day-by-day sequence of chart events as outlined. It's important to understand it's the sequence of chart events as outlined by the prediction that you want to pay closest attention to. It's day by day, but you'll find that some of our readings you'll need to give it plus or minus a day or two of wiggle room in some cases on the timing. It's the sequence of chart events that's most important to pay attention to. The timing is secondary, and that's because not each card's energy going left to right across the screen is going to represent 24 hours of time. Sometimes it'll be greater, sometimes it'll be later. So you need to give that kind of wiggle room there. Be very, very aware of that. And for that reason, mainly is the reason why I do not recommend trading this information alone. You should only trade this information if you have access to our monthly access subscription with all of the live Discord trade alerts and live trading view chart drawings. I'm going to show you guys how to get that at the end of the video. If you are serious about trading SO Meta, you must have those game-changing services. Otherwise, think of this video as a guide to the expectations of what we see happening. Usually we're on point, like 90-something% accurate, but occasionally the timing will be off. Remember, sequence of chart events, and if you're actually trading this stuff, be on our Discord. After the day by day as well, I'm going to give you one of the best trades that we see for the month, so stay tuned for that. And before we get into it, I just want to make sure that everybody's aware. The whole reason for the channel, we're looking to transmute some of the competitive energy of the stock market into goodwill and do that to make the world a better place. It's kind of like a team effort. I'm providing a lot of this information for free and for really, really low cost. With the expectation that when you're profiting from this information, you go to the resources tab of our website, Tarot for Traders. This is honor code stuff. 5% of the profits from every profitable trade utilizing this information, you should donate 5% of the profits forward to one of these charities and 5% of the profits back to the channel. You're effectively paying it forward, keeping the flow of abundance flowing through the universe. We're paying it back, saying thank you and expressing gratitude to the universe. Gratitude begets gratitude, and it leaves you at 90%. Make sure to spend that 90% out of love, keeping your conscience clean. You follow those rules, you've basically created the necessary circumstances, vibrationally speaking, to manifest wealth and manifest gain and good things, abundance into your life. The universe will see you as an angel investor. It's going to send it back to you tenfold for following through. Not to mention, I'll know who you are for sure. Alright guys, so let's get into it. The overall theme and behavior for the month of April, we have a prominent move higher and a full retracement back down is usually what you get with the art card. It's crossed with a rally that's halted by a decline through key support. The tricky thing about the art card is that sometimes it's talking about a retracement of, rarely, but sometimes it's talking about the first half to move higher, and then the next reading would be like a retracement, but that's very, very rare. More often it's going to be like talking about a retracement of whatever was the preceding card, and then even more often it's the full movement, a prominent move higher, full retracement. In this case, it actually looks like it's probably the first half. We'll look at that in more detail as we progress, actually. And then it being crossed with the halting of a bullish trend marked by a sharp decline through key support. That's key support on a multi-day chart with one-day candlesticks. Just like everything I talk about, big moves higher, support, resistance, prominent troughs, stuff like that. All that's going to be on the same scale. A multi-day chart with one-day candlesticks, unless I specify otherwise in the reading. All right, so we're looking to basically break through an important support level. It'll be important at least on a multi-day, on a 1-month scale, probably a 1-year chart scale. Behavior on the highest high, there should be a notable move into the highest high, reaching for a distant resistance on a multi-day scale again, probably an important peak of some kind here in April on a multi-day scale. behavior around the lowest low. We likely see the low more than once, based on the Queen of Cups, which is usually a sideways S formation within a channel. Often it's horizontal support and resistance, sideways S formation within it, but sometimes it's to the downside, sideways S formation, sideways S formation, right? So, but what it usually indicates is that you've got a decline there. You have one low, you retrace back to the original point, and then you decline again back down to the same low. So two lows usually with that. So I would be looking for that type of chart behavior when I'm attempting to identify the timing of the highest high and the lowest low. In the monthly access version of this video, we actually give you the timing, which we're usually on point. Not always. Sometimes we're quite off. It happens. But usually we're on point to the day or off by a day as far as timing the highest highs and the lowest lows for not just Meta, but all the tickers in crypto that we cover in the multi access. Again, if you're interested, I'll show you how to get that at the end of the video. All right, so we're going to take a look at March and see how we did. Then we'll come back and we'll do the day-by-day sequence of chart events and give you one of the best trades that we see for the month. So stay tuned for that. I'm also going to show you some examples of the trades that we gave out for Meta in the month of March as part of our monthly access Discord alerts. I'll show you what we've had thus far in the month of March, so you'll want to see that. All right, so as far as the timing of the high sides, if you're new to the channel, usually an ellipse that's colored in is indicating the highest probable location of a highest high. When it's not colored in, it's more like a lesser probability, but more likely to just be a prominent peak of some kind. Same thing goes for red ellipses. That's going to be lowest lows. And this, you would have this picture on the Discord as part of the monthly access. So we had a highest high somewhere here around the 4th, 5th. So, and that'll also happen is you'll find that if there's a big move on the first day of the month, sometimes that's not even counted in. But this is basically a highest high right here, or you could count it as plus or minus a day here or there of wiggle room. Either way, the sequence of chart events remains quite accurate. We decline into troughs here, and then there's another peak of some kind here on the 11th. It ends up being on the 12th. And that's after a sharp unicursal hexagram decline taking place. We have on the 10th there. So from the 7th into the 10th, we had this huge drop. That's what you get, an example of a unicursal hexagram decline. This decline here also on the 5th, was that the 5th? Also a unicursal hexagram decline. You can see it was from a peak on the 5th into the 6th. So this has been an extremely accurate reading thus far. We had the possibility of another prominent peak around the 12th, 13th. They kind of blend the high and that second high and the peak kind of blended into each other. But then we go into lowest lows, and we had the possibility of a lowest low here on the 17th. It ended up being on the 18th with a big decline, unicursal hexagram decline. And then we had the possibility of seeing again on the 25th, 26th, but also a possibility of a prominent peak. And it looks like it ended up being, went to the 21st, not quite out into the 25th, 26th, and then we had this huge move to the upside. On the 25th, however, on the 24th, we had this huge gap up. That's an example of that lust card reaching for distant resistance. And so now, again, it's the 25th right now. Likely we see a higher price level followed by a decline tomorrow, and then there's an important multi-day range highlighted on the 27th. It could be the bottom again. We might just be plus or minus a day here, and then that's followed by a notable move to the upside there on the 28th. Super accurate reading to give you an idea of the trades that we have as part of the Discord. So with monthly access, you get all of these crypto and ticker symbols. You get the monthly access version of the video for each of those. We actually give you the highest highs and lowest lows in text. And then one of new overnight swing trade here on March 5th. Open short position at today's highest high, which is between 1 and 3 p.m., closer to 1. Expect to close that short tomorrow morning. Backup exit on Friday. That was posted to our live Discord on the 5th. So the instructions were open short position at today's highest high, right? March 5th. Today's highest high, which is between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m., probably closer to 1 p.m. Expect to close that short tomorrow morning, backup exit on Friday. So here on the 5th, you could have closed it in the morning or any time on the 6th and it would have been really profitable. However, if you waited one more day into Friday, you would have had an opportunity for a serious gain. That's just one example, guys. Advanced new swing trade alert. This was posted yesterday, which was the 24th. Open long positions tomorrow. Expect to close at April highs. There may be a better opportunity to buy long on 4-4, but it's an unlikely one. So just be prepared if there is a buy opportunity on 4th. Exit 416 or risk holding until 422. So open up long position in Meta tomorrow. This was a new trade, and we did dip. I expected us to dip lower, not quite as much as we did, but provided we move to the upside. This is a significant opportunity, probably, or was a significant opportunity before this move. You can see these are examples of our chart drawings, also a part of monthly access subscription. These get updated regularly, and right in here we indicated to open long positions. People close out of those long positions possibly today. These are things that we talk about through the live drawings, and sometimes I'll actually highlight it with an alert if it's something that I think everybody should be following. So those are great examples. This was a solid month thus far, only a few days left. So with that said, guys, let's get into the day-by-day sequence of chart events. Remember, a sequence of chart events over timing. All right, so on the first, we have looks like we have a trough early in the day on the first, and we rally into a peak, and then there's a sharp drop probably back into a trough around the cusp of the second. On the second, we have a prominent peak and a prominent trough, again on the scale of a 1 month chart with 1 day candlesticks. So a lot of price change probably there between a peak where we break through key resistance, we stay above it briefly, and then break back down through that price level shortly thereafter. On the third, we have erratic behavior back and forth through the same price level, usually revisiting a crest in that erratic behavior that was recently a past opportunity. Most likely that's the case here, a crest that's revisited. And then we have a sideways fluctuating, that erratic behavior on the third turns into sideways fluctuating decline, taking us into a trough early in the day on the fourth. And it looks like that move on the fourth, that trough on the fourth probably forms. We have a bit of a move to the upside. Not a huge move to the upside necessarily at the end of the day on the fourth, but probably by the end of the day on the fourth there is movement to the upside. That turns into sideways of fluidity, equal amounts of bulls and bears, inflow and outflow on the 7th. Usually you'll see price swings or a narrow range along key support on a multi-day scale. Big move to the downside on the 8th through multiple support levels. On the 9th, we have a trough early in the day that forms out of a decline with a big move from the bottom of a range all the way to the top of a range. And then it looks like we probably retrace back down to around the same range as that trough from early on the 9th, somewhere around the cusp of the 9th, 10th, with another huge move to the upside out of it, and then a decline from that huge move into the end of the day on the 10th or into early in the day on the 11th, with another unexpected move to the upside on the 11th. Excuse me, guys. Prominent trough and a prominent peak on the 14th within a U-shaped dip. So likely we go from a peak into a trough midday and then back into a peak by the end of the day on the 14th. On the 14th. And if not on the 14th, then the peak would be on the 15th. We successfully find support on the 15th. That can be either to the upside or to the downside. Hard to say based on just what I'm seeing here, but let's see what the cards have to say. Maybe they'll elaborate for us. It looks like we find support to the downside. We do sideways rotation, and then there's a big move ending that sideways rotation either at the end of the day on the 15th and or on the 16th, where we rally along a diagonal trend line, breaking through a horizontal resistance to meet another resistance before pulling back to somewhere between those two price levels. and with a peak towards the end of the day there. A period of volatility on the 17th that ends with a fast sudden move higher, probably another peak at the end of the day. If not, there's a peak early in the day on the 21st. Somebody speaking, probably what they're talking about can partially be relied upon and trusted, but some of it probably not exactly truthful. So be mindful there. Sideways rotation on the 21st. Fast sudden move higher into a peak on the 22nd, followed by a full retracement, probably back down on the 23rd. Through multiple support levels. Decline increases with momentum moving forward on the 24th into a low around the cusp of the 24th, 25th. Prominent trough on the cusp of the 24th, 25th, and or on the 25th. And a prominent move higher out of that trough, probably back into a trough there. And then on the 28th, an unexpected move to the upside. Often that'll start out of a decline, but based on it being at the beginning of a weekend, it might just be like a huge move to the upside, especially if we finish to the downside on the 25th. Might be like a huge gap up or something along those lines. Not necessarily the case, but something along those lines. Unexpected move higher into a peak in the early half of the 29th. And from that peak, we decline to and through support to meet another support. We attempt to establish support by rotating sideways there for a bit before breaking down through more supports into a significant trough on a multi-day scale. There probably a pretty sharp decline there from the 29th peak into the 29th trough, and then a big move out of oversold territory to the upside on the 30th. We attempt to establish support at some point on a multi-day scale in May. I'll have more information for you as far as May is concerned when I get into the May reading. People with the early access subscription will have access to that May reading probably as early as next week. All right, guys, so I'm going to give you one of the best trades. So my sense is that I like this trade over here. Matter of fact, if we're at a lowest low thus far in the second, you could open up a long position. I'd say a partial. You could close it as early as the third if you really have low risk tolerance. Close it on the third at a revisiting of a crest we recently saw, probably from the first to the second. If that doesn't work out, then add to the long position on the fourth at a lowest low thus far, and you would look to close that long position as early as the 7th when we meet key resistance on a multi-day scale that we decline from and return to at least once. If you miss that exit on the 7th, very likely you'll have opportunity on the 11th as well, and worst case scenario on the 16th. But rule of thumb when trading SO Meta, guys, always go with the first exit. Don't wait and count on backup exits. The longer your money's in the market, more likely we are to be wrong, more likely you are to lose money. So be quick. That's one of the keys to making money consistently. Take your profits quick, forget about max gain, and just move on to another profitable trade. And don't forget about that rule of karma. We're counting on you here at Tarot for Traders. Blessings to all my angel investors. I'll see you guys on the next one. But remember, these are the tools that you must have in order to consistently be profitable with this information. It's not as simple as being right 90-something% of the time, because mentality and doubt and all these other things play into it. So you have to be mindful of that. Trade only with the services that give you these swing trade alert ellipses. The bigger the ellipse, the greater the time frame of the reading that it was based upon. The darker the ellipse, the more overlaps there are, the higher probability of the price level entering that range. And the smaller the ellipse, the smaller the time frame of the reading it's based on. So, some very, very helpful stuff. Every time that's updated, because we do update it as expectations come in, we'll actually drop a notice in the Discord channel for Meta to let people know that. Chart link refreshed, which you always find at the top of the page. All right, so the way that you get that, guys, is a great way to support the channel. Monthly access subscription. You go to our website, Tarot for Traders. Hover over Order Now. Click on Subscriptions. The monthly access subscription right now is $300 a month. It's going to be raised at least to $400 a month, probably right after retrograde ends. So if you're interested in this and you've been thinking about pulling the trigger, you must get that before we raise the price. You'll have that at the lower price for the lifetime of your subscription. You can even put it on pause if you need to, rather than cancel, so you can save that price. Provided you plan to come back. I mean, occasionally that happens. But guys, this is going up in price. It gives you access to the day-by-day sequence of chart events, highs and lows, and all the Discord trade alerts for the following cryptos and ticker symbols. It also gives you access to the day trade alerts and chart links for the SPY, as well as early access to all of the public posts that we have that come out on YouTube, that come out on our Discord channel first here under the early access video links, you're going to see April Bitcoin came out on the 23rd. April Gold came out on the 13th. Or excuse me, on the 16th. Amazon on the 16th. Shibcoin on the 15th. And this is kind of behind. Usually they come out earlier than that. But all of that is part of monthly access subscription. Great way to support the channel, my friends. You make it back like in one trade with the amount of times that we're accurate and have the frequency of our accuracy. And when we're off, we almost always have backup exits in case we're off. That makes it so safe. I mean, how safe can it be? It's not completely safe, but it's super safe considering that this is the only form of analysis that allows you to plan backup exits. There's no way to do that with just technical analysis. Only ESA meta-analysis, guys, developed over 26 years. Pull the trigger on that before the price goes up. Same thing goes for early access, currently $100 a month. That's probably going to $200 or $250 come the end of retrograde, my friends. Snatch it while you can. Much love and appreciation to everybody watching. Blessings to all my angel investors. In the monthly access version, we're going to take a closer look at how the 1 year and the 1 month for April fits into the 1 year and the multi-year. So I'll see you guys who are those supporters there.